discuss the history and the effects of the King James Version. Dr. Harrison, will you begin, please?
James I, shortly after assuming the rule of England, commissioned a group of biblical scholars to produce a New English translation of the Bible. The king was delighted to back the project, for he was most displeased with the popular Geneva Bible and its notes that sometimes opposed the Church of England and the monarchy. By the king's order, the team of scholars could number up to 54, but the group apparently never rose to that total. It appears the translators were all members of the Church of England. They were divided into 6 groups with portions of Scripture assigned to each team. Richard Bancroft, Archbishop of Canterbury, drew up 15 rules for the translators. For instance, they were to retain old ecclesiastical words such as church as opposed to congregation. There were to be no explanatory notes. They were to retain the renderings as much as possible of the Bishop's Bible, an earlier version. Each team had an assigned leader. Having been started in 1604, the work was finished and published in 1611. Perhaps the closest we can come to the inner workings of these meetings is by viewing the notes of John Boyce, who worked on Romans through Revelation and the Apocrypha. They reveal lively debates among team members as they worked on their assignment. The resulting translation changed the world. Though it took over 100 years before it replaced earlier favorites, by 1750, the King James Bible was ensconced as the English translation of choice. A part of what led to its popularity was its simplicity. Where the language of Shakespeare called into service upwards of 17,000 different vocabulary words, the King James Bible used only about 8,000. Especially changed was the cultural attitude toward English. For years, there had been opposition to translating the Bible into English. John Colet was suspended from St. Paul's Cathedral for translating the Lord's Prayer into English, and William Tyndale, for his translation efforts, was strangled and then burned. The shakers and movers of academia and religion employed Latin and French, leaving English to the uneducated. This is seen in that around 1600, Oxford University's main library contained only about 1 work in English for every 100 books on its shelves. But with the advent and eventual popularity of the King James Bible, English came to find its place even among the upper classes. The King James Bible also shaped the very words of the English language. Biblical phrases became the warp and woof of our language. Phrases like, to pour out one's heart, the land of the living, sour grapes, to put words in his mouth. The root of the matter is that without our ever even knowing it, much of our everyday speech is shaped by the words of the King James Bible. Root of the matter, by the way, is from Job 19:28. Up until about 1990, the King James Bible was the most popular English version in the world, and its words and cadence are even now inscribed on the hearts of many Christian people. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, and in my Father's house are many mansions, have comforted many a saint. For all the good that some modern translations offer to Bible students and readers, the language of the King James will forever have a special place in the hearts of believers.
Dr. Dwyer, will you please continue to expand on the history and the effects of the King James Version?
Yes, thank you. All civilized governments have a similar structure and order. The government of any civilization is established upon that society's body of laws. And the body of laws of the society is derived from its social and moral conscience of what it perceives as right and wrong. The moral conscience of any civilized society is established from its sacred documents, and those sacred documents reflect what is believed about God. For English-speaking civilizations, and America in particular, that sacred document has been the Bible, and that Bible has been, for the most part, the King James Version. From an ecclesiological standpoint, it is impossible to measure the number of people who have been saved, verses memorized, lives transformed, and human hearts encouraged by words and phrases from the King James Version. Who has not at least heard the phrase from the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven? For English-speaking people, the King James Version has been the spiritual heart language by which all translations have been measured.